The groundwater is the largest source of fresh water on the planet, excluding the polar regions and glaciers. The amount of groundwater within 800 meters from the ground surface is over 30 times the amount in all fresh water lakes and reservoirs, and about 3000 times the amount in stream channels at any one time. It is given by Raghunath 1987. The average annual rainfall of India is around 114 centimeter. Based on this average annual rainfall, Dr. K. L. Rao has estimated that the total annual rainfall over the entire country is of the order of 370 million hectare meter, and one third of this is lost in evaporation. Of the remaining 247 million hectare meter of water, 160 million hectare meter goes as runoff, and the rest of 80 million hectare meter goes as subsoil water. Out of the 80 million hectare meter of subsoil water that seeps down annually into the soil, about 43 million hectare meter gets absorbed in the top layer, thereby contributing to the soil moisture. The balance of 37 million hectare meter is the contribution to groundwater from rainfall. About two-thirds of the total land area in the country comprises consolidated formation, 75% of this being made up of crystalline rocks and consolidated sediments. The remaining 25% being trapped. The remaining one-third of the total land area comprises semi-consolidated and unconsolidated formations like alluvial tracts. There is ample scope for development of groundwater in these areas. Groundwater province means the zone of groundwater potential. The following modules are highlighted in this lesson. First, Colson's classification of groundwater province. Second, Taylor's classification of groundwater province. Third, Chatterjee and Ray classification of groundwater province. Fourth, Raghunath classification of groundwater province. So first I will tell you about the Colson classification of groundwater province. The Colson has divided the groundwater province into 8 provinces lying in 3 major regions: Ganges, Brahmaputra region and the Himalayan region. Colson described this classification of groundwater province of India as follows. It is divided into province, sub-province, principal manner of occurrence of groundwater and recovery of groundwater. Number 1, northern mountain zone. Mountains run off high expander snow percolation in joints, the bedding plains and surface creep material, springs, valley fill deposit, pore space of gravel and sand, tube wells, dug wells, etc. etc. Indo-Gangetic alluvium, Ganges basin, abundant quicksands, water table high, some area of sodium carbonate and sulfate fluorescence, tube wells, dug wells, etc. Peninsula, older sedimentaries and Deccan traps, most of rocks with low porosities, water in joints and bedding. Plains, dug wells, springs, younger sedimentaries, rocks with high porosities, water held in body, rocks partly in bedding and joint plain, dug wells, tube wells in rocks with sufficient porosities and transmissibilities properties and springs. Now, second, Taylor's classification of groundwater province. After Colson in 1940, Taylor in 1959 outlined the groundwater province of India as follows. Number 1, Precambrian crystalline province. Second, Precambrian sedimentary province. Third, Gondwana sedimentary province. Fourth, Deccan Trap province. Fifth, Cenozoic sedimentary province. Sixth, Cenozoic fault basins province. 7, Ganges Brahmaputra alluvial province. 8, Himalayan highland province. So I will describe one by one. So first, Precambrian crystalline province. The Precambrian crystalline province occupy almost half the area of India, extends discontinuously from Cape Comorin to Delhi. This province is underlain by igneous and metamorphic rocks of Precambrian age, chiefly granite, gneiss, schist, slate, quartzite and marble. Groundwater occurs in the weathered and joint parts of these rocks, generally within about 75 meters of land surface. The granite, gneiss and schist are commonly weathered to depth of 30 meters under the tropical climatic conditions. Prevailing in the southern part of the peninsular region and to a depth of 20 meters of or more in the semi-arid northwestern part of the region. The yield of the wells depends on the well diameter, the depth of penetration in saturated zone and the thickness and permeability of saturated mantle. In central and southern India, thousands of dug wells take water at depth of 10 meters to 30 meters below the land surface. Many of the wells used for irrigation are as much as 20 meters across and are capable of sustained yield of 1 lakh gallons per day, less than 5 meters in diameter, have sustained yield ranging about 10,000 to 15,000 gallons per day. Slates and related rocks are important groundwater reservoir in a large part of northwestern India. Groundwater in these rocks circulates mainly in opening along joints, bedding plains and cleaved plains, most freely where there have been enlarged by weathering. Most groundwater circulation in the slates appears to occurs within 75 meters of the land surface in northwestern India. The yield of individual wells dug in slate have been found to average about 12,000 gallons per day. The quartzite and marbles are perhaps the poorest water bearing rocks in the Precambrian crystalline province. The opening in these rocks are not numerous of continuous of these in other rock types of the province. Consequently, the yields of water obtained from individual wells in quartzite and marble are generally no more than a few thousand gallons per day. Second, Precambrian sedimentary province. The Precambrian sedimentary comprises 4 discrete structural basins. Within the Precambrian crystalline basement, these basins contain indurated limestone, sandstone and shales and locally conglomerates. Belong principally to the Kadapa, Kurnool and Vindhyan supergroups, which are of the Precambrian to early Paleozoic age. Owing to compaction and cementation after deposition, the primary openings in these sedimentary rocks have largely disappeared. The cells are relatively impervious. Moreover, systems of solution passage do not appear to have developed to an important extent in the limestone of any of the Precambrian sedimentary basins. Thus, groundwater circulation through these rocks is apparently concentrated along bedding planes and in joints or other secondary feature, chiefly in the limestone and locally in the conglomerates. Groundwater circulates to a depth of 150 meters or more in the Precambrian sedimentary basin of western Rajasthan in northwestern India, and to depths of 100 meters in the Raipur basin of central India and the Kadapa basin of South India. Third, Gondwana sedimentary province. The Gondwana sedimentary province comprises more than a dozen different asymmetrical fault troughs, gravens, structural basins of folded wells. These contain consolidated to semi-consolidated sandstone and shale in about equal proportions, a little limestone and a based tillite that is generally not important as a water bearer except locally. The rocks belong to the Gondwana's supergroup, which ranges in age from late Carboniferous to early Cretaceous and which is divided into a lower and upper unit of stratigraphic break in the early Triassic. The lower Gondwana rocks occur principally in fault trough or gravens and structural basins in the central and east central parts of the peninsular region. See figure 1. The water in lower Gondwana sandstone is moderately hard. Locally, the water contains considerable iron. Where coal seams are present, the water may contain hydrogen sulfide. The upper Gondwana rocks occur in structural basins or folded wells, principally in the central, western and northwestern parts of the peninsula. Variable sandstone in the uppermost part of the Gondwana supergroup, generally and moderately permeable, were present in the zone of saturation. Such sandstone constitute the most productive aquifer in the Gondwana sedimentary province. Several wells in sandstone of Jabalpur group near Jabalpur in central India have individual sustained quite high yield. In the slate of Kutch in western India, water-bearing sandstone in the Bhuj series of the uppermost Gondwana are tapped by several thousand dug or combination dug and bore irrigation wells. The water from Bhuj sandstone in Kutch generally is very hard. Locally, however, the water is brackish or salty. Number 4th, Deccan Trape province. The Deccan Trape province comprises an area of more than 2 lakh square miles in central and western India. See figure 3. This province is underlaid by a series of basaltic lava flow that range in age from late Cretaceous to Eocene and whose accumulated thickness is from a few tens of meter to hundreds of meter. The flows are generally flat lying or gently barbed, but in places they are folded or faulted. Throughout the Deccan Trape province, water occurs in the weathered and jointed parts of the rocks and openings between the lava flow. However, in contrast to plateau lavas in other parts of the world, deep circulation of groundwater does not appear to take place to any important extent in the flows of the Deccan Trape. The weathered basalt, locally known muram, and joints and openings between flows, all enlarged by weathering collectively constitute the most important groundwater reservoirs in the province. From this reservoir, many thousands of wells dug to depths ranging from a few meter and 30 meter derived individual sustained yield of 5,000 to 25,000 gallons per day, and water is fresh. Number 5th is the Cenozoic sedimentary province. The Cenozoic sedimentary province comprises a 3 narrow coastal plain on the Malabar and Coromandel coast. Number 2, coastal fringe in the Kathiawar and Kutch peninsula. Number 3, an extensive embayment in western India, and number D, a belt of strongly folded rocks in eastern India. See figure 1. These areas are all underlain by semi-consolidated conglomerates, sandstones and shales ranging in age from the Cretaceous to late Tertiary. In the plains of Malabar and Coromandel coasts, seawards dipping Miocene and Pliocene strata contain several water-bearing sandstone and conglomerates at depths ranging from 15 to 30 meter below the land surface. Drilled wells tapping these beds yield 10 to 500 gallons per minute. Individual yields depending on such factors as the well diameter, the skin length and the number and thickness of the aquifers penetrated. In the coastal fringe of the Kathiawar and Kutch peninsula, where the Miocene and Pliocene sandstone and conglomerates are slightly cemented and poorly sorted, they form aquifers of relatively low productivity wells dug in these rocks to depth from 10 to 25 meters commonly have individual yields averaging about 15,000 gallons per day. The parts of the tertiary embayment of western India where the sandstone and conglomerates are unconsolidated and fairly well sorted, they form productive aquifers in the zone of saturation. For example, in Gujarat, there are 2 or more soft sandstone aquifers at depths between 60 to 210 meters below the land surface that are intercalated with the clay shales. In the northern part of the embayment near Bikaner, soft sandstone and conglomerates of probable problem Eocene age at a trapped by dug wells and bored wells of depth of 100 to 150 meters below ground level. The folded sandstone of tertiary age in eastern India, see figure 4, generally are poorly sorted and have lost much of their original permeability by cementation. They are not extensively developed by wells for water supplies, but they give rise to numerous springs of moderate flow in the hilly tracts of the Indo-Burmese frontier. The water is generally of good quality. Number 6, Cenozoic fault basins province. This province comprises 3 discrete fault basins, the Narmada, the Purna and the Tapti valleys. See figure 1, each of which contains an extensive fill of unconsolidated quaternary alluvium. The Narmada alluvium fill apparently lies in a rift valley or graben, but this Purna and Tapti fills occur in a symmetrical basins. Exploratory drilling in the Narmada valley has shown that the alluvium ranges in thickness from a few meter to 150 meters, and they are highly variable from place to place in texture and sorting. Relatively impermeable clay and silt constituents considerably more than half the bulk of the alluvium in large part of the valley. However, in a number of the areas, lenses of well-sorted water-wearing sand and gravel a few meter to a tens of meter thick are intercalated with clay and silt. The sand and gravel lenses from aquifers. The groundwater in the central and southern parts of the Purna Valley is commonly salty and unfit for many purposes, but in the northern part of the valley, water is of good quality and generally contains less than 500 ppm of dissolved solids. The alluvial fill in the Tapti Valley is less than 75 meter thick at most places and is deeply dissected by the Tapti river and its tributaries along the southern side of the valley. There are, however, several score irrigation belts of combined dug and bored construction that take water-wearing sands and gravels intercalated with silt and clays in the Tapti alluvium. These wells generally range in depth from 30 to 60 meter and yield 100 to 250 gallons per minute. Ganga Brahmaputra alluvial province. The Sindhu Ganga Brahmaputra province comprises the Satluj plains, the Ganges plains, the contiguous Brahmaputra valley with the deltaic plains of the Ganges and Brahmaputra rivers. See figure 5. This lowland is in the foredeep between the Himalayan region and the peninsular shield. The foredeep is filled with the late tertiary and quaternary alluvium, which at places attains a thickness of 700 meters or more. The alluvial fill constitute a vast groundwater reservoir which is very high and potential, the most productive in India. Many tens of thousands of small water supplies for domestic stock and villages use and small scale irrigation and several products for public water supply and the industrial use are obtained from water-wearing sands and gravels of the Sindhu Ganga Brahmaputra alluvium. The groundwater occurs in these distinct physiographic and hydrologic belts, the Bhavar, the Tarai and the axial. The Bhavar is the highest parts of the compound alluvium of a stream issuing from the Himalayan highland and forms a belt some of 12 km wide along the foot ranges of Himalayan front. Tarai merge impermeably with the axial belt, which comprises the bulk of the alluvium by the largest streams of the Ganga and Brahmaputra system. Number 8, Himalayan highland province. The Himalayan highland comprises a complex of rocks largely sedimentary ranging in age from Paleozoic to Cenozoic. These rocks include limestone, sandstone, shales or their metamorphic equivalents and some intrusive, which are chiefly granite. Most of the rocks have been greatly deformed by thrust, faulting and folding in the orogeny of the Himalaya. The highland is traversed by deep gorges and narrow valleys, some of which are partly filled with quaternary alluvium. The consolidated rocks give rise to numerous small but perennial springs, which are the chief sources of domestic stock and village water supplies in the region. However, in the lower reaches of the larger valleys, many dug wells used for domestic and stock purposes, for irrigation and for public supplies, take beds of coarse-grained gravel and sand in the alluvium at depths generally less than 30 meters. The alluvial fields of the Himalayan valleys also constitute important underflow conduits which transmit large quantities of water to the groundwater reservoir of the Ganga Brahmaputra alluvial province. Third classification is the Chatterjee and Ray classification of groundwater province. Subsequently, Chatterjee and Ray in year 1969 proposed geohydrological zones of India and broad categories comprising crystalline sealed and compact pre-Cambrian sedimentary rocks in category A and soft and alluvial areas into category B. These were further subdivided respectively into 3 and 7 zones of different types depending upon the groundwater occurrences and aquifer and yield characteristics. Methel in 1969 made reappraisal of the groundwater province based on aerial extent of various lithological units, their porosity, depth of saturation, etc.